Thanks so much for tuning in to The Water Speaks to Me. I'm your global water queen, AliNICOLE Waters, and this month, core focus is on creating a more expansive lifestyle container. And as always, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 things that you should know and focus on for this month. One of the most important things to draw your attention to, or your awareness to, is about opening yourself up to create this more expansive life. And sometimes we think that we've prayed our prayer of Jabez and we've enlarged our territory. But there's always an opportunity to become more expansive and take our lives to the next level. So we'll be focusing on creating this new expansion through a lifestyle container, and this will allow you to really be more in sync and in harmony and in divine flow, pretty much with that which you've already been creating. And one of the things that comes up also for me as I have been tuning into the river of the water of life, according to Revelation 22, verse 1, is about as you begin designing this new life for this phase of your journey, you really have to reflect on the greater growth and expansion that's already been taking place. So again, as I was tuning into the river of the water of life, bright as crystal, always proceeding out of the throne of God and of the Lamb, here's what we most need to know about creating a more expansive lifestyle container. So number 1 is about viewing your journey as sacred. We're really in a time where we need to be in deeper appreciation for life itself. Of course, we give gratitude for many things in our walks of life. But life as a whole really is requiring us to take our thanksgiving or gratitude to the next level and really seeing our journey as something to be cherished, as very sacred. A lot of times we get caught in the details of our everyday experiences. And sometimes what's most beneficial goes unnoticed. We don't pay attention, not really awake to what the journey is really speaking to us, and really appreciating and honoring what is before us. And normally this occurs when we get focused on the bigger picture, and sometimes our careers or just everything that we have in life, some of the audacious goals that we want to achieve, or even our family matters can really consume a lot of our time. And therefore, we end up missing out on the subtle things that hold the clues to the next best steps in order for us to create this more expansive life. But when we view our journey as sacred, this is when we start to realize that all of our life holds great significance and value. And oftentimes, our greatest treasures may not always be found in following the status quo or keeping up with the so-called Joneses, or even trying to live out this idea of an American dream. It's very much illusionary in nature. And those things honestly keep us from discovering the true sacredness of our journeys. And we really can't honor the sacredness of our journeys if we're too busy living socially conditioned lifestyles that cause us often to be distracted with either over managing the details of our lives in a very non-serving way, or sometimes we're just overly focused on reaching a destination without taking the time to learn and embrace what's most important about the journey. Then number 2 is about seeing results from your inner growth and evolution. This is really a time of embodying and refining your personal, professional, and spiritual mastery. This also can include your education, just whatever parts of the journey that have caused you to evolve, develop, in ways that you never would have if you hadn't taken the routes to go deeper and master those areas. And so this is the time where this embodiment of your refinement in all of those areas starts to be displayed before others, really as an example of an expanded and an evolved lifestyle or way of being. Many of those long-standing results that so many have been waiting to experience, these will start presenting themselves. And it will be your right now harvest for this phase of the journey. And it's going to be so perfect to lead in to your next phase. So look for these manifestations to serve sort of as steps or launching pads into your next level of greatness. So seeing results from your inner growth and evolution. Number 3 is about embracing the lighter journey ahead. And previously we focused on starting to lighten our loads. This was very, very important previously, because it's time to really only start utilizing and leveraging what's most relevant for the present and your emerging new phase. Sometimes you might even have to put certain things on hold or not give them as much time, energy, or attention so that you can really start to flow your focus on just a few things. This is really a time where you don't need to scatter your forces too much or have a lot of your mental environment or daily routine starting to overclutter with creating the unnecessary in your life. It's definitely time to take a lighter approach and make sure that you're shedding off whatever it is that is no longer relevant for this next phase. Again, you may possibly pick it back up at another time, but this is a time where you have to discover what are going to be your highest priorities in the present and really start to trim down those areas into maybe 3 or 5 key focuses so that you can start to become lighter. Again, as I mentioned, that you can return to some of those other areas in divine timing. Metaphorically, you can envision or see yourself as putting certain parts of your life in a storage unit and preserving them until you're ready to bring those forth again. After you've started mastering the 3 to 5 areas of high level priorities and embracing the lighter journey, because the journey ahead that is lighter takes some adaptation and a new practice. So as you're making those adjustments, you also want to start seeing results from traveling lighter in this new experience as you're moving forward with ease and less overwhelmed, because when you don't have a lot to manage and the journey is lighter, your load is lighter, you typically won't be in overwhelm. And I also want to mention that during this time, really try to have your mind off of the unfinished or the other priorities that you believe are important, but they're not in your 3 to 5 top areas. Try not to spend any, but really not a lot of time thinking about those things, because that's still adding to mental clutter. Again, when they're in storage, they will be brought back at the proper time. And number 4 is about opening up to a nonlinear path of evolving. Our evolutionary journeys typically aren't a linear process anyway, but this is about being really in the receptive mode for embracing new ways, or different methods for receiving higher divine wisdom, your guidance, your insights, things that are going to be in alignment with where you are headed, with your life mission, evolving your purpose, living better, your spirituality. The list can go on. But you certainly have to be open to allowing maybe some non-traditional processes or methods to help you gain what you need in the present in order for you to shift and become more expansive, in order for you to embrace and embody the next level. So opening up to these new paths for your evolution is going to be very, very important. And I want to just provide just a few examples. Like this might involve reading materials or studying new methods, possibly even taking some courses that are non-traditional for you anyway, but somehow you really feel guided to learn from these aspects or these offerings. So pay attention to that, because you'll start being drawn to different things, or certain things might catch your attention and call for exploration. This could look like being guided to try a new spiritual routine or even a ritual. Like if you're not used to certain practices such as journaling or meditation, maybe even self-awareness methods. This could also look like going to a different type of worship experience. You might find that adopting some of these new practices, at least in the present, will help you to evolve and expand your perspective just around life in general, could enhance your overall experience. And again, this is in preparation for you to start creating a more expansive life, inviting new elements into your experience so that you're not recreating from your current knowns or even even previous things that are great. This is a new time for new expansion, and even in order for you to expand that which you already know and you've experienced that you've enjoyed, you have to allow newer aspects to come in to help you become more expansive. I also want to mention that as you are doing this, to keep in mind that this is really only for the intention of creating a more expansive lifestyle container. This is not necessarily about embracing the newness that you've allowed in through methods and practices to be sort of long-term rituals or routines within your experience. Obviously, unless your journey feels aligned to continue moving forward with them after this month, definitely do so. But when that flow ceases, don't try to push the current. Know that it's done its perfect work for this time. And then number 5 is about creating a new storyline for your next level expansive lifestyle. This is about becoming more aware of your greater truth. It's also about expanding your consciousness. It's really time to make room in your life for this greater divine plan it's really already unfolding, but it's ready to unfold in a more expansive way. I also want to bring up that this expansion doesn't necessarily mean it's a grandiose vision or some greater lifestyle, or as we hear a lot about playing a bigger game. This expansiveness is more about shifting into a limitless way of being and a limitless way of living, taking your thought and your beingness beyond where it has been, it's ever been before. Expansiveness can very much look and feel like that. I also am getting that this is about shifting into co-creative mode, where you're developing more of a partnership with God, higher power source, versus a lot of the traditional teachings and understandings of has to be this particular way, this is the divine plan, and you have to follow it accordingly, as if you don't have a say-so in the process of your journey and how it unfolds, how it plays out. It's simply not true. You are a co-creative partner. Whether you are aware of this or not, this is the time to start adopting and adapting to this way of being, where you take more responsibility for creating your life, as they would say, by design and not by default. Unless it's a divine default, but even within that, there are things that you have to do on your own. And when I say on your own, of course, you have the divine power flowing through you. But this is where your faith meets your works. It's action. Faith is a verb. It's action. It's no longer to be living by default. When you have been given the power and the authority to partner, merge your efforts and your endeavors with the Most High for the most expansive outcomes. When you combine all of the wisdom and the insights from what you've been discovering thus far, this is where you start creating more of this expansive lifestyle, this storyline. It's a beautiful thing to be creating, co-designing with God, this new divine plan of action to support all of the things that you're putting into place, all of the things that are setting up and aligning themselves in order for you to start stepping into this new expansive lifestyle. This is just it's amazing as I just sit with this energy and embody it. It's incredible. So allow these 5 key areas you really need to focus on to create this sacred container. Because this sacred container will house your new expansion. Also, it's going to help you to leverage the new growth in order to create the next evolutionary phase of living your highest divine trajectory. Again, this energy is expansive, it's massive, and it feels not just powerful, it just feels right. It feels true. It feels like this is what we're here for, why we exist, what we're supposed to be living, what we could have been living, but the powers in the present moment for us to bring all the awareness and the intention to being in divine flow of this new expansion and allowing it to do exactly what it set out to do. It will not return to us void. So now I feel that the flow of wisdom is ceasing at this moment. So I pray that this River Water Life update provides you with what will most serve you in the present and really carry you throughout the rest of this month. Take a couple of nice deep breaths and feel into this expansive life, this container. And I will catch you on the next wave of wisdom. Be blessed.